Blue Buchanan is our retail manager. He's also behind the gun counter here, and one of the instructors as well, right?
That's right.
Okay. Blue, correct me if I'm wrong, and people ask me about this all the time. Cleaning your gun. How often should you do it? Do you have to do it after each shot? My usual answer is, with modern powders and leads, you should be able to put about 1,000 rounds through a standard gun without having to clean it. That said, you want it as clean as possible every time.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I don't think that you need it as clean as possible every time. If it is a gun that you shoot recreationally, you don't need to clean it every time you shoot. I would say about 1,000 rounds is a good threshold, and if you find that your gun malfunctions or it's too dirty for you or something like that, then clean it a little more often.
My grandpa is rolling in his grave.
Yeah, mine too. All my drill instructors are rolling in there. Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about is safety. Anytime you're dealing with guns, safety is a big concern. Same with cleaning. If you're going to use any kind of solvent that's toxic, you're going to need some gloves and some eye protection.
Don't want that in your eyes.
No, you don't want to get it in your eyes. You don't want to get it in your hands. You get it in your mouth or touch your face later on. We are going to choose to use a non-toxic solvent today, so we won't be using this stuff.
What do we need next?
Next, you're going to need a brush and some type of oil or lubricant. So here's some plain old Otis CLP. Anyone that's ever served in the military will be very familiar with that product.
And you can get oils just about anywhere.
Just about anywhere. Any gun oil will do the trick. Also, a brush. Again, I would say the standard is your old military green brush there. Now, there's some different varieties we can use, and here's some examples here. This kit includes a nylon, a brass, and a steel brush.
Okay, you're not getting all 50 shades of gray on me here. What do we have?
No, this is totally benign. You're going to need something to swab the bore of your gun with, and just some patches are good for that. Any kind will do. If you buy commercial patches, make sure they're fit to the caliber of your gun. Nothing's keeping you, though, from cutting up an old t-shirt and using small squares for that. Finally, you're going to need some kind of bore brush, something to clean out the bore of your gun. These are nylon bristle ones, and this is just an assortment. We're going to clean a 9mm pistol today, so I chose the .38 caliber brush. And you can also use brass ones. Stay away from wire, though.
Sure.
Stay away from steel wire. So the first component that we'll clean is the frame. So here's the frame of the gun, and you can see from firing, there's some carbon buildup here at the front of the frame. Okay? And it's the same on the other side, and then inside also there's some buildup. Okay? So we'll start by just putting a drop of gun oil on that spot, and that'll be plenty to clean all that whole front area. So we just take the brush.
That's your nylon brush.
Nylon brush, and just scrub it there, and here, and inside, all around. Okay?
It's cool that the nylon works on the polymer and the metal as well.
Yeah, really it's working on the residue.
Yeah.
Right? So, we didn't mention actually a rag is a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
This is a store-bought rag. This is one cut from an old t-shirt. So we finished cleaning the frame, and now we're going to move to the slide. In general, slides are all metal, and so you need to pay a little more attention to cleaning that, looking for corrosion or buildup, residue, that kind of thing. So the first thing to do is just examine the whole outside of the slide, right? And so what I like to do is just put a drop or two and just spread that with my fingers all over the slide.
What's the old adage? If you're not wearing it, it's not clean?
That's right.
Yeah.
If it's not raining, you're not training.
Yeah.
And if you're not wearing it, it's not clean. So then you just take your nylon brush and just hit all the surfaces briskly. I'm using a good amount of pressure here. It won't hurt the brush, it won't hurt the slide, and I'm ensuring that I'm removing any residue or any kind of corrosion, surface rust, that we're looking for there. Now, on a Glock, you want to pay strict attention to the dovetails for the sights, because that is a good place for corrosion to begin. Okay? So now we've completed cleaning the outside of the slide, and again we can just wipe that down, and that will have sufficient oil to protect it in storage. See? A nice shine.
Yeah.
Inside, we have some of our working parts, and then these cutouts here where the rails on the slide ride. So we want to make sure that we get those nice and clean. And the internals here, you can see there's a little bit of corrosion there. We're going to put just a drop of oil, and that will spread all around. and then here the breech face. Can we get that? You see that? That little divot is the fire pin.
Yeah, right there.
So the breech face can get a little dirty, so you'll want to scrub that up. And it doesn't matter. You'll see my brush is getting a little dirty. Don't worry about that.
The most important component, the barrel.
The barrel, right? And the barrel is, again, made all of steel, and we're looking for 3 main surfaces, maybe 4 with the barrel. 1 is just the surface of the barrel generally. 2 will be the chamber, the entrance to the chamber. A lot of buildup gathers there. And then the bore itself, which we'll do at the end of this segment. And then the locking lugs. This is where it locks into the frame. Okay? So, again, just like with the frame, since it's all metal, 1 drop of oil spread with your fingers or a cloth all over the surface is sufficient. And then with your nylon brush, just hit all those surfaces pretty briskly. Okay, that's all 4.
Let's move on to the bore.
Okay, moving on to the bore. We've already cleaned the whole outside of the barrel, and we're going to move to the bore now. So the first thing we'll do is take a patch, a clean patch, and you'll fold that in half, generally, and feed one of the corners into the ferrule of your cable. And I've chosen to use a cable rather than a rod here today. Okay? So that's fed into the ferrule, and we'll put just a couple of drops of solvent on it. Now, we're using solvent rather than oil for our first couple of passes here because there's copper, lead buildup inside the rifling of your barrel. So this solvent will help to loosen that stuff up and pull it out. Okay? So you can just pull it through.
Don't have to twist it or anything.
I mean, if it's twisting, then you'll go ahead and let it go.
Okay.
But whatever it takes to pull it through. And we like to pull it through the same way a bullet goes through the barrel. From breech to bore.
Now that's one sin I have been committing. I've been doing it the other way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've run the solvent now.
Right, we've got the solvent patch off, and we're going to add, on the other end there, we're going to add the nylon brush. That's caliber appropriate. This one's 38, we got a 9mm, right?
This is another thing I've been doing backwards. I've been putting the brush in first, then go into the solvent.
I mean, it's not going to kill anything to loosen it up first, but I like to get it wet a little bit with the solvent and then go at it with the brush and then hit the solvent.
Well, again, it's the way Grandpappy taught me to clean a gun.
Well, I'm not saying he was wrong.
No, I know. But it makes sense that the solvent's going to break up some of the deposits, and then the brush will help get the rest of it out.
Good. So from breech to bore, again.
Now, I haven't done much with my guide rod and springs, but you really should clean those up too?
Yeah. Go ahead and take a look at them. A Glock one is pretty self-contained.
Yeah.
It's hard to separate the guide rod from the spring. So what you'll do is just take your brush with another touch of oil on it and just give it a good hit all over so that it's lubricated and any...
So we've got all the pieces nice and clean, so let's put her back together.
Okay, putting it back together, I'll take the the slide, and insert the barrel.
That may be a little different for each gun.
It could be.
I'm sorry, the spring and rod might be a little different.
Well, the guide rod and spring. Sometimes you have to assemble the spring and guide rod. But they pretty much go in the same place and lock against the barrel, like that. And then once that's done, the cuts we talked about go on the rails here. So for a Glock, when you run them on the rail, you'll lock it back. And so now the gun is pretty much put together. We'll go through a quick function check. Okay, so it locked back. The trigger worked. When it reciprocates, the trigger resets. At this point, if your gun had a safety, you'd set the safety and see if that holds as well to make sure you've assembled the gun properly. Finally, you can stick in your magazine, and we're done.
Good job.
Clean gun.